Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. And I'm very happy to present to you the real needs and expectations of UK consumers when it comes to gluten-free bakery products. And the reason for picking this topic is that we've recently completed a consumer study on the topic of gluten-free. And so right now we're building a campaign around it. And so I was also thinking it might be interesting for you also to gain some insights around how we, as an ingredient supplier, actually how do we approach innovation, how do we approach building campaigns. And so fresh from the press as well as this morning from Emma's presentation, so no one has yet seen these results from the UK consumer study. So I'm very also interested in hearing your thoughts. What do you think? So of course what we do, and you've seen it now a few times today, I realize, but whenever we start looking at a new topic, of course we look at the market. And I think we've all now realized so the European bakery market is expected to be flat in the coming years, in volume terms, definitely. Value, we see some slow growth. And so here on the two graphs, what you can see is I picked the biggest, the 5 biggest Western European countries, so Spain, UK, France, Italy, and Germany. On the graph here on the left, you see the average annual growth rate, 2016-2021, in volume terms. And then here on the right is the same, but in value terms. And so what we can see in volume terms, I mean, UK, France, Germany, we have a contraction of the market, slight growth in Spain and Italy. But overall, if we look at Europe, so in volume terms, the market is expected to be flat. Value, overall for Europe, we're looking at around 4% growth year on year. It's actually lower in the big European markets. So no surprise here. I think we're all aligned, as we've seen throughout the entire day. Good news, however, is that there are pockets of growth. And I think that is also important, and as we've also seen, so there are niches, there are pockets of growth, and so gluten-free is one of them. Here again, I'm looking at these 5 big markets. Here you see the gluten-free market sizes of these different markets, always 2015 or 2016, depending on the data that I could find, plus also then the yearly growth rate. And so here, Italy, for instance, I mean, more than 30% growth, Spain also almost 30% growth, then we're looking at UK 15, France 14% growth. So that's quite significant. And those numbers are also quite significant if you also remember the numbers that Emma presented. So for Germany, I didn't have the exact figure, but I also know that it's a double-digit growth number. So overall, really, gluten-free is one of the pockets of growth that we still see in bakery. If we now look at the UK market, so which are the categories actually in gluten-free that are growing, we see that bread is not only the biggest category, and that's probably not really a surprise, but it's also the second fastest in terms of growth, right after morning goods. And what do I mean by morning goods? That's basically pastries, so croissants, English muffins, those kind of products. So morning goods, 2015, 2016, they've been growing by 27% and bread by 20%. So again, that's quite significant to have these kind of numbers. Who are the gluten-free consumers? And here, what we see is that they are most likely to be young millennials. So they're most likely to be the 16 to 24-year-olds. And this is the case for the UK, France, and Germany. So again, here you always see that between 16 and 18% of millennials in these 3 countries, they say that they regularly eat gluten-free products. And just to compare these numbers with the population overall, so here we have for Germany, a bit less than 10%, same for France, a bit above 10% in the UK. So it's definitely the young millennials that are kind of the target group, the driver behind that trend. Interestingly, if we look at Italy and Spain, because I always look at these 5 countries, as you've now noticed, the spread is a bit wider. So here it's always the 16 to, let's say, 44-year-olds that are more likely or more attracted to gluten-free products. One of the assumptions here is that gluten-free products have been around for longer in these 2 markets, so that could be one of the reasons behind why the spread or these products are just more popular in general among a wider spread of consumers. And so that was a quick snapshot of the market. So after we analyze the market, then very typically the next steps that we take is that we ask customers and also consumers for what do they think. So what are their challenges, what are their needs? And so what we've done here in the case of the gluten-free topic, so don't worry if you can't read this. This is not supposed to be read. This is just an illustration of what's coming. But so what we've done is we asked a number of our customers for, okay, so what are the challenges, what are the needs that you have in the gluten-free space, in the production of gluten-free products? What are the support needs that you have? What are the ingredients that you mostly use or that you want to use? What are your future concerns? So all these kind of questions. We then consolidate those and the findings. So I mean, here we made also a little handout out of them. But so that basically forms the basis, or it's one part of the basis of our innovation work, that we know what our customers want. Then the second part is, what do consumers want? And so here, and this is of course then also the big topic of today, really, we ask similar questions to consumers. And so what we've done is we commissioned a consumer study to JFK. And so they've conducted, it's a qualitative research study that they've conducted over the spring and summer this year in 4 countries, so UK, France, Italy, and Spain. And so they organized 4 focus groups by country. And they interviewed millennials. Here we looked at, or we recruited millennials from 20 to 30-year-old. And then we had an older consumer, I'm older, it's not older, but they are older than these millennials, from 31 till 45-year-olds. And so we had 2 women groups always and 2 men groups. And so here, typically the kind of questions also we asked were, why do you eat gluten-free products? What are you still missing in the market? And we gave them market samples. So we gave them products that exist on the market, they tasted them and they evaluated them. And so today I want to show you some of the main findings, of course, from the UK study. So first of all, we wanted to know, why are you eating gluten-free foods? And here, without surprise, the perception really is that these products are healthier, and gluten-free dieters, they're looking for healthier options. So very often, what people have in mind immediately is, okay, by eating gluten-free foods, it improves my digestion, they feel less bloated, they feel more energy. Some of them even were saying that it helps them lose weight as well. So it's all around that well-being, better for me kind of aspect. Then why, or no, how did they get to know about gluten-free foods? Why did they even start eating gluten-free foods? And here it's really 3 main drivers, 3 main reasons. Family and friends, so recommendations from family and friends. The second of all is, of course, the media. I mean, articles, Instagram, blogs, TV shows, we have a lot in the media. And the third one is also that these products are just more and more visible. So of course, in the supermarket nowadays, you see these, you have more products. They're much more visible, also in restaurants and cafes. So now it's really difficult not to be aware of gluten-free products anymore. And so these are then also a bit self-fulfilling prophecies. So of course, that makes people more and more aware of these products, and also more and more people try out these products. There is kind of a consensus among people that the current offering has definitely improved. So the quality has significantly improved, but there are still things that they were missing. So there's still some unmet needs. And so these unmet needs, we can kind of put them into 3 buckets, let's say. So there's taste and texture. There is a larger variety. And then thirdly is also a healthier offering. So what is meant by all of them? I mean, taste and texture is, it's pretty much self-explanatory. The definite challenge also that we still have in all these gluten-free products. So on the one hand, everyone agrees, yes, quality has improved, but still, there's still taste, texture, still there are some improvement areas. More variety. So here, people are talking about more flavors. That's one area. The other one is also having different sizes. So depending on your household, do you have a big family? Do you live on your own? You would like to see, individually wrapped. Even Emma, you were also talking about it this morning. I mean, so that snacking aspect as well. So having different sizes, there definitely are some opportunities. And the wider accessibility. So despite the fact that we see in more and more restaurants and cafes and also supermarkets these products, still, when eating out of home, it's not that easy. If you want to continue your gluten-free diet, I mean, there are some limitations to it. So that was also something that was mentioned. And then last point, so healthier lifestyle. I mentioned it before, consumers who eat gluten-free foods, they are looking for healthier alternatives. And so now an area that is still kind of missing is making these gluten-free products healthier. So people are looking for an improved nutritional profile as well. So and here specifically what was mentioned is less fat, less sugar. So that was kind of in general. Now I'm going to go a bit more into detail and what were they asked concretely to do. So what we've done is we asked them to taste and evaluate 5 commercially available products, all available in the UK from 4 different producers. So there's a white bread, a brown bread, a wrap, sandwich thins, and a muffin. And so they were giving these products, I mean, one after the other, and without the packaging. Because first we wanted to get some feedback on some criteria, but without the packaging, so no influence of the brand, of the label, of the claims, but just really the raw product. And afterwards, then we also asked some questions about the packaging. So then they also saw, okay, who were the producers. And here, so it's really the muffin, the brown bread, and the sandwich thin. They were the most popular products among UK consumers. And then came, the white bread and the tortilla wrap. So the muffin and the brown bread, they were especially popular among the millennials. Especially the males, they like the muffin a lot. And then, so older consumers, so the 31 to 45-year-olds, females, they very much like the brown bread as well. And interestingly, so when it comes to the white bread, so that actually ranked the highest in terms of appearance, but then the lowest in terms of taste. But so visually, the white bread actually appealed the most. And so just to compare also with the results in the other 3 countries where we tested these products, so the brown bread scored very highly. So it was one of the most popular products. And so this is why I then decided, okay, let's go a bit more into detail of that product, because of course today we don't have time to go into all of the different products. So we'll focus on the brown bread. And so here we always ask questions around so taste, appearance, texture, and size. And consumers, so they were testing a bit, they were touching, they were smelling, tasting, of course, as well. And so they gave us feedback, and then they always also said, and what would they like to see? So if they didn't like something, then how would they like to see the product improved? And so here in terms of taste, people very much liked the mild, sweet taste. They liked the fact that there were seeds that also provide that additional kind of element of texture. I think a great feedback is also that people were thinking that it tastes and smells like normal bread, because this is always the challenge, is basically that people who are not celiac, they compare gluten-free products with gluten-containing products. And they want the gluten-free products to be kind of to taste like the gluten-containing products. And that's the whole challenge. But so here, it tastes and smells like normal bread is actually, I think, a great feedback. And then so some people, they said that they feel, okay, the crust tastes a bit burnt. Appearance-wise, mostly really positive comments. So nice color, nice crust color as well. It looks premium. The millennial males especially thought that. And then, of course, the fact of having seeds, that was also very much appealing. Just the fact that there were some holes. I don't know, maybe we can also look at it in the bigger picture. So here, people were thinking, okay, there are a bit too many holes, or these holes are a bit too big. So that's something that consumers didn't like so much. Texture, that was more challenging, of course. So here, the feedback was really, okay, it disintegrates too quickly when you're chewing on it. It's a bit too dry. That's, of course, the omnipresent challenge always. There's not enough difference between the inner texture and then also the crust. So here, that was more challenging. And then size-wise, no issue. I mean, everyone was happy with that. So if we want to summarize the improvements areas, there are really 3 points. So it's first of all having fewer of these holes in the breadcrumb. Then it should disintegrate less quickly in the mouth, and it should feel a bit more moist. Also some quotes. We always captured also some quotes, of course. So here, a lady was saying, this would be my conversion. I could see myself buying gluten-free bread every day. This tastes almost as good as fresh rolls. Only difference is that it's drier. Yep. Then, okay, nice texture. It's quite loose, but has a lot of holes. That was more a negative element. Then it was dry, powdery, almost a bit burned. Gets your palate a bit burned. I would change the powderiness. So that still was the challenging element. So then, as I mentioned beforehand, so then also we gave consumers also the packaging so that they could actually see, okay, who's the producer, what's the brand, what's the label, what are the ingredients, what are the claims. The gluten-free claim is definitely the most important. I mean, this is why consumers purchase gluten-free products. And then, so right after that, I mean, they want to basically see other claims that provide some kind of health benefit. And so here, the most appealing claims were then high fiber, no added preservatives, low saturated fat, low carbs, calories, low sugar. And then claims also that were mentioned, but maybe not as often, were then milk-free, omega-3, the vegan claim, sugar, and then wheat-free. So wheat-free was mentioned, but yeah, as we just saw, that's a whole different debate. And of course, this is all prompted. So people didn't get a list and had to then rank. Open-ended questions always a bit harder if it's prompted. So the fact of low sodium, low salt not having here doesn't mean it's not important. But this is what just comes up top of mind. And so what is really important for gluten-free dieters is basically the taste has to be right. And it always depends on the eating occasion also. So the product needs to be right for the eating occasion. So just a bit of a summary here. If we now separate the savory products from the sweet products. So the fresh appearance, very important for the savory products. Soft texture as well. And then, so in the case of the wrap, for instance, I mean, it needs to be as firm to be able to hold the filling. Or if we talk about here the bread, so it needs, you need to be able to spread something on it. That's also very important. All segments are interested, particularly males, are interested in the savory products. And the eating occasion here is if we talk about the bread, definitely, yes, so for breakfast or for sandwiches. And then the additional claim that they would be interested in addition to gluten-free is rich in fiber. For the sweet products, it's also having that kind of soft dough, fluffy center, fluffy texture, and it shouldn't be too sweet. Here, again, all segments are very interested, and women mentioned that they would be especially interested in a lighter muffin. And here as well, so the occasion could be a snack, or it could be also a breakfast item. But I just wanted to mention here, because what I find interesting about the occasion is always that most of the gluten-free products that you have nowadays, they are actually positioned as a breakfast snack or breakfast item or as a snack. So is it that, because that's just the majority of the offer that we nowadays have, that people mention these eating occasions most often? So which one is really influencing the other? Or that's always the question. So that I can't really answer. But then here, what was mentioned, I mean, in terms of sweet products, so here, an additional claim to gluten-free was then low sugar, salt, or fat. So here, the salt was then mentioned. And so basically, if I now summarize, so first of all, gluten-free is no longer a trend. And this is why I also fully agree with the fact that Emma didn't present gluten-free in her trends, because gluten-free really has moved to the mass market. So, and it is here to stay. So I wouldn't even position it really as a trend, it's something new anymore. And of course, in some markets, we see that this very high growth is slowing down. But as we've seen, so it's still the double-digit growth is there, especially in some countries. I mean, of course, always higher than in others. So it is one of the most dynamic areas in the food industry. That I think definitely we can say. Then second point is that consumers who eat gluten-free foods, so they are looking for healthier alternatives. And so what they now increasingly are looking for is having that improved nutritional profile and the simplified ingredients list. So those are really kind of the next focus areas. And then third point is what our consumer study, I mean, all the feedback that we've received in these 4 countries, what it has shown is that there are very concrete opportunities to improve the current gluten-free offering by product type and by country. So of course here the results also, I mean, there are similarities, but there are also very specific points per country that we can even see. So definitely there is still a lot that we as an industry can do in this area. And now just last point. So if you're interested in more information, watch this space. So I would recommend you visit bakeryperformance.com. And I actually wanted to ask you, who knows bakeryperformance.com, which is a website? It's our knowledge sharing platform. Has anyone here heard of bakeryperformance.com? No. Now you know. Okay, so I can only warmly recommend you you visit this website. So here, these are just screenshots of also previous campaigns that we've started. This is typically where we share information and where we will then also share more information on gluten-free, on our research. And yeah, if you have any other questions with regard to the gluten-free topic, our research, I mean, you can ask me now, or I'm very happy also to answer all questions by email, or you can give me a call. So my email address is here. And I thank you very much for your attention.